welcome to St. Dominic's Weekly. This is Father Michael. We're here with the Meet the Novice series, and today I am joined by Brother Edward. Welcome, Brother Edward.
Well, thanks for having me, Father Michael.
Very good, and we can already tell, based on that, just that totally mellifluous. I even got that word right, didn't I? I don't know. That you probably were not born in the United States. Where are you from, Brother Edward?
Yeah, this is a fair guess. So I come from Canada, but from Eastern Canada, so from Quebec, so the French-speaking part of Canada, hence this fancy accent of mine.
And wow, so you're amongst, now there have been over the years, as perhaps many of our own listeners know, those who followed kind of, I don't know, the story of the novitiate in the last dozen years or so, or a half dozen years, that we have a number of Canadian imports, so to speak.
Yes,
in
indeed.
the Western Dominican Province, and you are the latest version.
I am the latest version of it. Yeah,
Some would say the best.
Yeah, keep the better for the last.
Oh, very good. Kind of a wedding feast of Cana situation we got.
Yeah, exactly. No, what makes me the best is truly my humility, really. So
Clearly, absolutely. Who was the first? I'm trying to think. You have to go back to who's the first Canadian.
First Canadian. I'm not quite sure.
We have a number of them now in formation.
Yeah, a number in formation, but a number are already priests. But
yeah,
they're from more Western Canada.
Western Canada.
Yeah. Whereas all of the Quebecers that entered are still in formation.
That's right. Yeah. So Brother Jordan and others soon to be.
Yeah, ordained.
Ordained,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, so maybe just for our listeners, well, actually, I've been asking you guys about their name. Brother Edward, how did you come up with your name?
So, first, it's my parents who came up with my name. So I kept my my baptismal name of Edward. So my patron saint is Edward the Confessor. So I decided to keep it. It's not us who decide the name, but we only propose a certain number of names to the provincial, and at the end of the day, he's the one who chooses what name we'll have. But I guess the reason why I decided to...
And just not to... But was he your first proposal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, it wasn't clear.
I'm not sure if you know that I haven't found... You're the first novice brother this year I found that had their first proposal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you know that?
I didn't even know.
So no, ask your class.
No way.
I've been dumbfounded by the fact that every time I've asked this question so far, that it was sometimes second and even the third, and almost a kind of a afterthought of like, well, they won't pick the third. I mean, if the first one isn't suitable somehow or not, surely the second one will be. This is
really funny. Yeah, and I'm also the only one with only a single name.
Exactly.
I'm just Edward and not Edward Mary.
You don't have Mary, exactly. I guess everyone has. Yes. Is it Mary that everyone else has? I guess that's true.
Most except Charbel Ambrose.
Okay, Ambrose. Okay,
but
yeah.
For example, Jacob Mary. Kept his baptismal name of Jacob and added Mary. So instead of having a completely new name, so to speak, and I decided to keep mine because in religious life, in a way, what we seek is really to fulfill our baptismal grace, really, but seeking to do it in an environment that really will help us to grow in our baptismal vocation, so to speak. So that's why I kept mine.
For those listening, tell us a little bit about at least what you know of Edward the Confessor and why he's a patron for you, and why you want to kind of deepen that patronage in this religious life.
Yes, well, maybe my answer won't be very satisfying, but my parents weren't extremely, I think, devout about Saint Edward the Confessor. I think they like the name.
Okay,
so sorry if it's a little bit.
Fine.
But he was one of the rare saints. Politicians. We don't have a whole lot about his life, but he was king of England. Mm-hmm. So it's one of these rare occasions where politicians can be holy, apparently.
Okay, apparently.
That in St. Louis the Ninth, perhaps.
Okay.
or St. Thomas more.
Does he, do you know, I mean, obviously, like you said, there's not a whole lot, but do you have a devotional patronage to him in any way? Or?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll pray him and ask his intercession. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
To make wise decisions, perhaps.
Yes, exactly.
political things.
Yes, exactly.
Well, speaking of which, let's just name this. You were in the novitiate. This is probably perhaps not obvious to anyone. Maybe a little bit of an insight into the novitiate. The group of novices elect from within themselves someone to be, what do they call the dean?
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Okay. Someone who's basically in charge. So the kind of the point person amongst themselves. So kind of, I don't know, first among equal, or at least spokesman for, or basically guy that arranges everything.
Yeah, that's right. Whenever the novice master is in there, I make sure that we follow the schedule and the orders.
Yeah, things get done.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, I know. So
but
no big deal.
But just to say, you were elected.
Yes, indeed.
So what do you mean, indeed?
Yeah.
I guess I have to say, I wasn't, that you were not just looking at the group. It didn't occur to me that you would be the choice, so I wonder about that.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me either. I suppose that the fact, usually I try to be as little, not to impose myself really on others, so I think that's generally appreciated. For like so I don't really make decision rather than try to apply whatever the novice master wants us to do. So I suppose that might be what got me elected in this extremely high and important role of mine.
Your reign is coming to an end.
Yeah, it's true. It's coming. So only three more months to my term, and
exactly.
We'll start it over again within the student date.
but so why do you think your classmates elected you then?
Yeah, no, but a little bit as I was saying, I think just trying not to impose myself really, and just trying to, whenever we have to take a decision, because circumstances change or something, I usually try to have like the opinion of everyone and just try to go like democratically or as we have a vote, so that I'm not imposing anything on anyone really, so that we just take decision in common. And I think in the Dominican life it's very important because it's, of all the orders, it's probably one of the, I don't know if democratic is the right term, but
fraternal
or collegial.
Collegial, collegial.
So in comparison with some, especially monastic orders, where the abbot is really the first, he's the first to go to the meal, he's elected for life usually. Whereas in the Dominican order, a lot of the decisions are still taken with a vote by the different friars, depending on the matter, of course. And being a superior is temporary as well. So I think it's at least that's what I've been able to see so far.
That's great. Well, it like a good, I think if you will, the virtue of a good politician is that not just serving his will or serving his agenda, but just to be able to well serve those for whom he at least has care or governance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
St. Edward naturally rises to take the mantle, so to speak. Now, I don't know. I hesitate to ask this question, but do you get a lot of grief from the guys about being from Quebec, or jokes or teasing?
Yes,
that?
I do receive a lot of teasing, but it's all in good humor. I think so. It's especially at the beginning. Something that I had to explain at first is that it's not because I have a French accent that I am French. So sometimes it would be hard. I'm French Canadian, but it's like thinking that someone from Mexico would be a Spaniard because he speaks Spanish, or an American would be a British.
I see.
So sometimes I had a different, but of course, I mean, we're descended from French settlers, and of course we have the same language and same religion of Catholic. Well, a little bit less nowadays, but anyway. So I mean, it's a good association, but sometimes just it's not because
you're more Canadian than French.
Yeah, in that respect. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just, but of course, like in high school, you read French authors, right? So it's not.
So familiarity of the language isn't all encompassing when it comes to culture.
Yeah, exactly. I believe so. Because although it's a very important metric too. Yeah.
Absolutely, it's an element to that. So, and has there been, I don't know, oddities of living in the United States, or at least, well, I'll put it this way: we're in San Francisco, so you're getting a very particular flavor of West Coast United States, San Francisco kind of vibe. Not that anyone else from the Novitiate is actually from San Francisco, but are there things culturally that have either been surprising or interesting, or phrases that you've never heard that you're like, oh, that's an interesting phrase, or things like that?
Yeah, well, first of all, we're speaking of that, like, I think the diversity that there is in San Francisco of people from all over the world, really. I mean, there's a lot of people from, of course, there's a lot of Mexicans, a lot of Chinese, a lot of Filipinos, especially like in the church. So it's been very impressive to me, the diversity. And because of that reason, I mentioned that I'm being teased, but most people have been extremely respectful, and it's just like I have an accent, and other people do as well. So it's been interesting to me, this because most of what I was accustomed to in the U.S. was the New England, really, because from Quebec you can drive there and it's not really far away. So Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, went to Florida a couple times with my family. So it's interesting because it's a different, as you put it, a different flavor of the United. Plus you have the whole tech world in the Bay Area, which is right in. Half the billboards on the highway, they're all about AI.
Yeah, right.
All about tech stuff. You have like robot cars.
Yeah.
So it's funny because some of the cliche that I had in my mind of the West Coast, some are true, like of like the tech and the beach culture. A little bit more in SoCal, but still.
Oh, that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about your family background and your biography.
Yeah.
You were born in Eastern Canada?
Yeah, exactly. So I was born in Quebec City, which is in Quebec. So Quebec both refers to the province and also the city.
So it's a little bit bigger than San Francisco? Or about the same?
I think... San Francisco per se, I think it's relatively the same. But with the whole Bay Area is much larger than the region of Quebec City. So I think technically the metrics are the same for the city itself. Yeah. So relatively large city. So I come in a family of 5 children. I'm the 4th, so second youngest. So I have 2 older sisters, 1 older brother, and 1 younger brother. So we grew up in this nice little neighborhood. So I was very happy during my childhood because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it was really awesome because we would go back. The school was only half a mile away from home, so we'd just go back home for lunch, and my mom would cook us something for lunch.
Nice.
It was kind of great. And
this is like elementary school.
Elementary school, okay. And elementary through middle school as well. So all before high school. So it was I thought it was great with my siblings and reading a lot. I was.
What were your summer interests when you were young?
So I was really into reading all sorts of stuff, but I wanted to become a scientist. I wanted to like physics or math. I wasn't quite sure what it meant, like to be a scientist. I think you're like mixing like potions.
Oh yeah. But like an alchemist.
Yeah, like some kind of yeah, exactly. And you mix like weird like liquids or whatever, and it creates like magic or something. But it was really interesting for me, and and I was doing good at school, so I would even sometimes not even listen in class, but just open a book and hide it under my desk and just read, but the teacher wouldn't mind. So
and this is like science books.
Yeah, science books, like small encyclopedias for kids and stuff.
Oh, nice.
And all sorts of novel. When I started to realize that books could have like no pictures, I was like, wow, you can read like 200 pages of a novel and no pictures. Now I'm smart.
So you're of course you're probably following in the footsteps of your older siblings when it comes to education. Is that right?
Yeah. We all went to the same elementary and middle school.
And middle school, and then high school.
Yeah, high school. We all, except for one of my older sister, went to this private school. That was good. We don't have Catholic schools in Quebec.
I was going to ask about that. Yeah. So they're either public or private. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, either public or private, but nothing Catholic. Not even like the private school can be Catholic per se, and there wouldn't even be the population for that, unfortunately. So because very few are Catholic nowadays.
Yeah. What's the percentage roughly of Catholic? Is it like 5%
of like 10%? Baptized? If you're talking about just baptized persons, it must be like at least 80% that must have been baptized Catholic.
Oh, so but not really practicing.
But practicing, it must be maybe 5%, not even 5%. I mean, like every Sunday, not even. And most that will practice are pretty old nowadays.
Okay.
So.
Now, growing up, were you a family that was practicing the faith or not?
Yeah, and I'm very glad. I'm very grateful to my parents for that. So we were catechized. We would participate to some activities at the parish. I would sing in the choir.
Oh, nice.
So we'd go to mass every Sunday, and we were able to meet a couple families there, a couple ones. None of my classmates went to church at all. So I couldn't relate to them for that, but nonetheless, we had a little bit of a community with other kids, a little bit too.
Okay, at the parish level.
Yeah, at the parish level. Yeah. We would play for like we had a passion
play or something
passion
like that.
play.
Yeah. The donkey.
I like to play the Roman soldiers to have like a sword.
Of course.
Although you're kind of the bad guy, but I mean you get the sword.
You get the sword.
So I mean, gotta do what you gotta do, right?
It's the same thing in the early story too. So like for the Christmas pageant, you can get to be like the guy's taking the census or something. But yeah, every little boy wants to either wield the sword or something like that.
Yeah, it's classic. It's classic.
Or they want to be a shepherd because we give them those.
The staff.
The staff. Yeah. So basically, it can be easily transposed into a weapon.
Yeah, and I remember. So that's a little bit embarrassing, but I was really into my role. I wanted to be like a good Roman soldier.
Yeah.
And it was a grown-up man who would play Jesus. Everyone, we were like kids, but Jesus because he had to carry the cross and all.
Okay.
And my mom told me that apparently I was the one whipping, and I gave him a little I really whipped him. So
you gave him a couple welts.
Yeah. Apparently, I was way too my role.
A little too enthusiastic.
Yeah, a little bit too enthusiastic. But he was very well humored. He found that really funny himself. So it wasn't like
you could tell him you're a method actor. Yeah. You're into verisimilitude. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So then, when it came time for college.
Yeah, so like during high school, I would still go to just a little bit before.
Sure. Please.
Because during high school, I would still go to church, but like again, most of my friends, especially when I went to high school, like most of my friends were not Catholic at all and like even anti-religious. So I would still go to church, but I didn't really thought much about it. It was like not really. I wouldn't really pray at all. So it was mostly. I mean, I would still go on Sundays because the family would go, but it wasn't like a very living thing in me for some time in high school. But then when I was, so maybe when I was like 12 or 13 or 14, something like that, nothing like major. I would still go to church, but it just didn't. But when I was 15, I really started to like just seeing my friends and saw that they were advancing in life without like really without having the faith. So they were like very materialistic.
This was in high school.
Yeah, it was in high school. All in high school.
Pretty perceptive too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what happened, but I realized that.
But in high school, you're just kind of like, I'll just maybe I'll speak for it.
No,
you're not thinking about like the ultimate goods or something like that. You're just trying to have fun and play sports and do recess and.
Yeah, it's a little bit puzzling, honestly. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Like, my classmates were materialistic. That's probably not a statement. Well, it's probably not true in my own experience, but I mean from the people I went to high school with. But even if it were, I don't know if that's how I would even be on that plane of thinking.
Yeah. No, that's true. So and then I really started to have like I was right before turning 16. So I started to have a big like revival in my faith. So I started to go a little bit sometimes to daily mass.
Oh, okay. Even on your own?
Yeah, like on my a little bit, and then there was this charismatic religious community that I went to for my catechesis when I was younger, but they had like some activities for like teenagers and stuff. And I started to ask my parents to go there, and they were very well pleased that I would do that, like kind of on my own.
On your own,
yeah.
So it's like charismatic kind of thing.
Yeah, they were very charismatic. So really close to family. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of like lots of guitar and like the drums and all. But I really liked it, and I really felt that the big
shine, Jesus, shine. Oh no, it's gonna be in French.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
The French version of that, let's say.
I'm not even gonna attempt to try a bad accent. I'm gonna let you go for it if you want. You were in the choir.
Oh, it's true. Oh man, none come to my mind right now.
Okay, that's all right.
But
I'm putting you on the spot.
So some people have a phase of like goth music. But I had my phase of really, and I still love it, like charismatic music.
Do you really? Okay.
I love it.
Are there particular artists that you would know, or no, just that style of music?
I wouldn't know really because it's like in books and stuff that we'd have. So it was my phase in high school, I suppose.
Understood. You went through a charismatic phase.
Yeah.
You rebel.
I know. No, so it was wonderful, really, because of course, like many charismatic community, they had a big emphasis on the Holy Spirit, and also on the devotion to Mary, like Eucharistic adoration, the Rosary. So it was a lot of good stuff, really. So and retreats. So that really rekindled the fire for me. So.
And that was on your own. I mean, did your other siblings? You mentioned your parents were pleased about it, but did some of the other family members get swept up in that, or not really? That was kind of more of a
little bit. So. And I started to attend this charismatic parish, so not the religious community, but also this parish. And a couple of my family started to go there too, so there were like a little bit of that too. And yeah, my siblings were still like practicing the faith as well. And one of my sisters almost entered religious life too. She was really discerning with like the sisters of the charismatic community.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So she even considered it for some time, and she went there for like a month or so. Anyway, so it was she was really close to and helped me in that, I suppose. Yeah.
Nice. So was that before, like, was that when you were discerning Dominicans, or was that before that?
It was before that. So I was still 16, 17. So at the end of high school, it's a little bit different in Canada. But anyway, we end high school at 17, and then anyway, so at the end of my high school, which would be sophomore or junior in here.
Okay. And did I'll put it this way, so discerning vocations was something that, at least in your family, that was something that was not just encouraged, but it was live, so to speak. It was an option.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Because not everyone is just like, especially for a religious life, I would say most even practicing Catholic families don't have the experience of having a family member.
It's true.
Explore it. So is that formative for you, or was that?
So it happened, I believe, when she actively discerned with that community. I think I was like 11 or 12, and it was impressive to me. I didn't quite understand back then though, because I was still in this phase of like whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean that was so it goes to show that my family was opened to that realm, which is good because as you say, it's not self-evident for most Catholic families.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's good but my parent gave her all the latitude she needed and supported her in that, and then she decided to she was called to marriage. And
is she indeed married now?
Yeah, she is married.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she gave birth to her first children in August. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations!
I became uncle.
Your uncle. Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Now I am a double uncle because my other brother also had the daughter.
Oh nice.
his daughter was born last week, so I'm double uncle.
Wow. Uncle Edward.
I know. There's another one coming for September from my other sister.
Oh wow. Okay, now you're really
yeah, it's going.
You've got the mechanism in motion. Now.
Yeah.
You're gonna have. Well, it's good timing though. I mean, just God willing, you measure out 8 years or so. It'll be like you'll be a priest around First Communion time.
Yeah, it's true. It's
for the oldest one. For the oldest ones.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, that's a good timing. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, just kind of backstepping then to you mentioned high school and then emerging into what were some of the formative moments of that stage of your life?
That's when I would say I really started to think about like vocation in general.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was like 16, because they were talking about that in that charismatic community I was talking about. So they were like, oh, like everyone has a vocation. I was like, yeah, what? I didn't know that. Like everyone has a vocation. So what's that about? How do you find your vocation? I was like, okay, well, Lord, tell me whatever is my vocation is. I'm not sure I quite understand this whole thing, but just tell me where I'm called. So I was kind of open to anything at that point, really. I was and I had a lot of fervor at that point, and I was still like very immature, so I would always like talk to my friends about the faith, and I became real annoying too, but it was good. I mean, I was really trying to bring to the others what I had refound, so to speak. So I was like I was trying to talk to my friends about it, and most of them didn't really get it, but I mean, I was still trying, and at the same time I started to kind of pray and just like learn about what vocation really means, and like, okay, I never thought about like being a priest or being a friar, but I don't know, maybe God is calling me to something. So that's when it really started. So end of high school, really. Yeah.
And then where did it go from there?
Yeah, and then a thing that was important, I think, for my discernment, I became sacristan at the cathedral in Quebec City. Just like for the Sunday, I would prepare masses. So I would always be around priests from that time on, because I would like be in the sacristy and just like preparing mass. So more able to see like their day-to-day life, really, because otherwise you see them at mass, but it's only like at mass you don't really so it was interesting to me like to see like
the human side.
Yeah, exactly. They're like,
because they're just like regular, and they just come in and they get vested, and they'll probably talk about just kind of
exactly, just like
things.
Exactly, like small talk in the sacristy. I was like, man, they're like normal people. Who knows? Who knew that?
No, if you're only entree into priesthood or religious life is kind of, hearing the priest, proclaim the word of God, or, pray the Eucharistic prayer or absolve sins. Obviously, that's the role of being in the person of Christ, but it can feel, it can feel a very either kind of at a distance, perhaps a little bit, just for the and so you don't see the human side quite as easily, perhaps.
Yeah, totally. I was like, oh, are they like always praying or something?
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not sure, like. What did they
So it kind of opened your eyes to like the kind of the human side of
of priesthood, exactly. And then so I was sacristan for 4 years, and then when I started college too, so I was still like, and it was during the pandemic, by the way, so it was a little bit weird. So
sure. Were they still having public masses or not really?
Not really for a long time.
Yeah.
But. And for some time we were able to have mass, but like 25 people or something crazy like that.
Sure.
So, but I could be there because I was technically an employee. So it was kind of so it was pretty cool. It was pretty.
You got the employee exemption.
Exactly. So technically I wasn't like the 25, because I had to be there.
Yeah.
So
necessary.
Yeah, exactly. So that was good because that kept me going through, because on without like going to the Eucharist, it's much harder.
Of course.
To grow in spiritual life. So, and then I started I started college. That's also when I met with the Dominicans. So they are really close to the university I went to, so Laval University. And that's where I met them, some were organizing like study like sessions with like other like college students.
Yeah.
So during my first year of college, that's when I met with them, and it was very important to me to have. At that point, I wasn't really going to the charismatic community anymore. So just to have like a strong like another like community with other persons my age, so that was really important. So we were like a dozen of like college students. We were reading the catechism, and then we would just like pray compline, and then hang out afterwards, just having like some nice time together too. So it was
just kind of like a little bit of, I don't know, catechesis, aka theology.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of prayer.
Yeah.
And a little bit of social.
Exactly. So all of these things, it's very connected, and later I would know that it's kind of. It's what we call the pillars in Dominican life.
Exactly.
So I guess that's where you're going.
You're catching what I put down here. Very nice.
Yeah.
This is good synergy.
So for our listeners, the 4 pillars of the Dominican life, it's prayer, community, and ministry and study. So well, I didn't say them in the right order, but that's basically the 4 main things we consecrate our time to.
Mm-hmm.
So and I had 3 there, and even technically a 4th, because we would the ministry side. We would bring some of our friends who didn't have faith from college, and say, "Oh, just come! Like we just like hang out and read. Like if you're interested, whatever." And a couple of people converted. So there you go. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it was so.
You had all 4 pillars.
Yeah,
there.
all 4 pillars, and it was cool because we would read the catechism and then try to find like objections or questions, and then ask the 2 Dominicans that were with us, and they were like answer, like saying the different distinctions you need to do that, and it was like I was like, dang, that's impressive.
Now, did they have care of the Catholic life for everyone at the university?
No, they didn't. They did not. So they were just like very close to university.
Okay.
And
so just like geographically proximate to it.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
More than, because the chaplaincy was of the university is it's a diocese who takes care of it. And there's no Newman Center, so there's no.
Oh no.
So
is that just not allowed, or is it?
It would be. I think. Not quite sure.
Okay.
So we don't have like Catholic universities either.
Yes.
But there's like an actual chaplaincy. So there's a little bit of ministry, but no, like we don't have like focused missionaries or something.
Exactly.
So it's less developed in general in Canada.
So it was more of the Dominican parish.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is that right? It was a parish that was proximate to the school.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it attracted, just because a lot of students would go to the parish too, because it's close to. So it's
nice. And so it was this group that kind of was a seedbed of your, kind of more proximately of your vocation?
Yeah, because that was my first encounter with the Dominicans. Mm-hmm. So just to see how they would study a lot. I mean, to answer all of these questions we had and stuff. And then they would use that study to preach to people, really. And then like answer like questions, or just show to those who didn't believe and those who believe too. I mean, it's both. Mm-hmm. So so to see their preaching, and again their prayer and the community life, because that's what I found nice with the friars in general. So with the Dominicans, I mean, you can see that with some Franciscans too, is that since community life is so important in these vocations, they can be very approachable, I think, in general, like Dominicans or Franciscans. So this aspect of community life was really impressive to me, and I thought that it was a real tool for evangelization, because if you can really connect with people, I mean, it's
Sure, absolutely. And I love how you did it was, I mean, in some ways, I mean, the Catechism is not necessarily a book that one would recommend, like just starting on page 1 and reading through. It's almost like an encyclopedia a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But it is very, I mean, it's really kind of, it's not worth doing it either. In other words, taking little small chunks of it and reading it through. And even now, I mean, I have to say, well, just for example, this morning I was like, whenever it's one of the many fonts of inspiration that I go to just like, let them say I'm going to do a daily homily or something.
Nice.
If there's like a word or a scripture in the back of the catechism is all the scripture that's in the catechism,
yes,
which is quite prodigious.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to like, let's say you look at like the gospel, this is, Matthew 14, so you go in the catechism and every time it references Matthew 14, it'll say where in the catechism it might refer. So that might see how the church herself kind of understands, at least some of the kind of salvific gravity, if you will, of that passage to be able to preach. And I for I don't say the first time, but this morning it seems so simple, but it was talking about, it was the it was the gospel that basically is always the gospel for Ash Wednesday, is the gospel for this this first full ordinary week of ordinary time on Wednesday.
Nice.
And it made me think like, oh, we usually think of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving as being very Lenten, right? Lenten. But if you read the catechism, it's actually the normative way of orienting ourselves towards loving God. And it suddenly hit me. The great commandment says what? We'll love God above all things, and then to love neighbor as self. And prayer, fasting, almsgiving is exactly helps us to do that. Prayer is that by which we love God. It draws us into intimacy with God. And then how do we love others? Well, almsgiving helps us to be generous, to give to others. And the criterion by which we give is modulated by our love of self. So love your neighbor as yourself. But self-love can either be very minimal, or I would say probably the more the more oft pitfall we fall into as human beings is over-exaggerated self-love. Not that we have too much love, but the love is too much about ourselves. And what regulates that is fasting.
Nice.
Fasting regulates our capacity for true, real, full self-love, the way God loves us. And I thought,
that's awesome.
Prayer, fasting, and almsgiving is the resource by which the greatest commandment is achieved. And I thought, that's good.
That's awesome.
So that was just I give an example of, here I am. I've been, a priest for 15 years, and I've asked for this long, or more than that now. But I'm read the catechism,
that's
and
awesome.
There's still new insights, and very simple insights, if you will, or correlations we can put together. So I can imagine as you're reading the catechism and making these distinctions, this is kind of emerging in your mind and heart.
And you were talking about the quotations in the catechism. The different quotations of the works of the saints are really useful too. I mean, when you read about the Blessed Virgin Mary, and it will cite a certain saint that wrote something beautiful about the Blessed Virgin Mary, and you see in which work, so you're like, I want to know more about that.
Exactly.
So you can know where to find what really because so many things have been written in the church. When you see in the catechism on a certain subject, who is the catechism citing, you can just go and read that. So it's pretty. So I think it's also another nice thing of the catechism. It really gives you a broader understanding of the tradition of the church, like who wrote what.
Exactly. No, and like you said, almost you can't put everything in one book, but it almost is wonderful for as a starting point to then launch off into other other things, reading more about this or about that. And
absolutely.
And wonderful, even if it doesn't have, I don't know if you're familiar with the Baltimore Catechism. Is that something
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So but it's an kind of an
it's in question form, right?
Yes, it's in question and answer form. So it's a different way of approaching, and the virtue I think there is you have why did God made you, or who made you? It gives very direct answers to very deep questions that you need to unpack, so to speak, like who are you? You are made in God's image. Like, why did God make you? To know, love, and serve Him, and enjoy Him in the next life. Things like that. Very, very clear. Simple, but it's kind of a moment to memorize, a lifetime to learn. Kind of thing.
That's good.
But even even the more, I would say, more kind of narrative style or kind of like hermeneutics of kind of paragraphs and logic that follow like the virtues, the Ten Commandments, and the sacraments. Still within that you have very clear, oftentimes the definitions are or at least as they're defining things, are done by saints. So like prayer is, they take Teresa Avila quote that basically, St. Teresa, prayer is talking to God like a friend.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's one of my, it's the one that I use over and over again.
Yeah.
The talking to God, and that's right from the saints. So in other words, the saints have a way of encapsulating or articulating our faith, which is dynamic and winsome, and that can connect us to a kind of spirituality that is deep in the church.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there you are. You're studying. You have this kind of, let's call it a pre-Dominican experience in Quebec, with not just kind of using the pillars, but actually with actual Dominicans.
Yeah.
So I guess, I want to say the obvious question is, you no doubt obviously became interested in a little bit in religious life in Dominicans. Why not the Dominicans you were studying with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the like, as to like the Canadian province or
yeah. Well, both Dominicans in general, and then specifically.
Yeah.
Why did you turn west?
Yeah. So there's 4 Dominican provinces in the U.S. So which follow basically the 4 main regions of the U.S. Right, the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, and South. And there's one province that is for the whole of Canada.
Yeah.
And it's mostly French Canadians, but it's also like in Vancouver and all. Yeah. But it's mostly because traditionally, anyways, French Canadians have been more Catholic. So, but there has been very few vocations lately, which led to the closing of the House of Studies, so the student aid. So here we have St. Albert in Oakland, but in Canada it was in Ottawa, so in the capital of Canada. But there weren't enough vocation to continue to keep it going.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of convents, unfortunately, are with like older friars, so it was less interesting for me to enter with. Not that I didn't like the brothers that I had in Quebec. It was great. They're the ones who. The whole community, really, because I would often go to the convent.
Yeah.
And, they were very edifying to me, but it's
didn't they grab you by the lapels and say, Edward, we need you? They didn't, though, I guess, or at least not.
Yeah, some of them did, but I suppose anyway, so that led me to.
You weren't meant to be a trailblazer, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
It's interesting because certain provinces will get to, there'll be a time of, you look at it, and now I think I'll just say this very generally, globally, everything in the northern hemisphere, so to speak, is perhaps not quite peaking like it used to in kind of Europe and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little place like Poland is kind of, kind of saying, I think the United States in different areas, it's kind of holding steady and fruitful. But if you look in the southern hemisphere, Dominican life is like flourishing, like booming. It's never like it had like never before.
Absolutely.
And so there's different seasons, I guess. Put it with the Dominican charism. So it feels to me, and tell me if this is my maybe characterization, but feel free to comment. It feels like Canada needs a little bit of it's kind of in a wintering, but perhaps with a fall and then maybe even a little springtime, many years, but it would take a certain vocation within a vocation, not only to have a Dominican vocation, but have a Dominican vocation to be a smaller group to kind of rekindle things again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it's a good way to put it, like a vocation in a vocation itself. And the funny thing is that, so as I was saying, most of the Canadian brothers were French Canadians, because French Canadians used to be like extremely Catholic until maybe like the 60s, and happened what is now called like the silent revolution, the tranquil revolution. I don't know how to translate it, but most were like 95% Catholic, like going to mass.
Yeah.
And most stopped. So
just like
abruptly.
Because there was a whole like summer of love and kind of like the sexual revolution.
Yeah, it was part of that. All of that. Yeah, all
like would you say the tranquil revolution or non-violent?
Exactly, because there were no murder. No
died. Well, but at a sense, spiritual death.
Exactly, a total spiritual death, because it was like the strength of an actual revolution. like we call it the sexual revolution. For example, there was no really like bloodshed, but it's like so big that it's called a revolution. So we had the same thing in Quebec. So I think since people dropped out of Catholicism, it was even worse than in, for example, English Canada, where there's more like Protestantism. So people were already used to not be like the Catholic majority. So there was also a little bit more resilience, perhaps. Whereas like in Quebec, it's like from everyone to no one. So it's even more. So and there might be something comparable to that in the U.S., although I'm not sure I can. But like,
think about that. But it's interesting when everything, it was kind of, I say, monolithic, or you have everyone's one way and something is subverted. You don't get the resistance. There's not. It's harder to resist, perhaps. Everyone's kind of already kind of the majority, and the majority just swings all the way around. Whereas, like you said, if you're already used to being a little bit of the resistance or something, it's not going to be quite as impactful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I'd need probably to get more thought to that. But that's just like a little bit of maybe my idea on that. So that's why, it was less. I wasn't sure I could enter in Canada for that reason, but there's a lot of hope because I think this year there might be like 4 to enter the novitiate.
Oh, in Canada?
5? Yeah, in Canada.
Oh,
whereas for many years there were like 0, like actual 0.
I know, that's why I would ask when I asked guys like yourself.
Like, no, that's a, and I know one of them. He's in his postulancy right now, or he might have just finished it. Anyway, they have a longer postulancy in Canada.
Not the rigorous 2 weeks that we have.
I know. It's like a rigorous like boot camp.
Very few get out of postulancy here. I haven't said that now that I think about it. I don't think anyone's ever knocked out their postulancy. It is a bit of a tip of the hat.
2 weeks. Yeah, so I think it's 3 months in Canada.
Okay.
And then you begin the novitiate, which is also in 1 year. So it's just, and I think there are like 4 or 5 in this year to enter. So I mean, maybe there's hope. There's hope.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, and I know one of them, and so it's
there's good reason for hope, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So I don't, by what I said about my reason for coming here, I don't want to be like just a big downer.
No, but it's everyone's called. And have you found a sense that this? I mean, are you confirmed this year that this is the geographic province that you're called to?
Yeah, I mean, everything I found here was even like better than what I thought it would be.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So it was a little bit sold. We mentioned a couple of other Quebecers that entered the province. So those I knew them before they left Quebec. So they were my friends. So of course they told me, oh, you should. It's an interesting province. You should maybe like just look into it. So I had like good expectations. And they were even exceeded. So I was so in that case, totally.
Nice. Yeah. And then you of course you applied, and in fact you're sitting not quite in the same chair that we we talked in. But how has this year been for you as you've entered the novitiate?
So it's been great. It's a lot of adaptation, especially at the beginning, because a lot of changes. I mean. Well, especially for me, like different country, different language, different. But more dramatic than that is really like from lay life to religious life.
Okay.
Is
this your first experience just talking predominantly in English day in and day out?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I just.
How is that? Do you dream in English yet? I don't know if that's a question.
Partly, partly thinking in English too. But I mean, I only learned. I learned English in high school. I almost flunked my first class in English.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. And,
oh, no.
And then and then I don't know. Just coming here, immersion really helps to have a better.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, first experience of talking in English all the time.
All the time. Oh, wow. Did you want to take a little? I know it's no way comparable, but I know when I've been in other countries for a little bit extended, like for like a month or two, just like after trying to speak a different language. You just I just went back and I needed a book in English just to read, just to give take a deep breath in the evening.
No, it's important because I've been finding myself sometimes talking to my parents on the phone, and sometimes I will insert a random English word instead of a French word for no reason. So I feel the need of. Maybe I should read a little bit more French because I'm losing.
You're losing your French.
So at some point, I hope I won't be the guy with a French accent speaking in English and an English accent speaking in French.
Nowhere is home.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope I won't get to that. So maybe I should open a little bit more French books.
Besides the language itself, what has been some, I don't know, say some learning curves for you this year?
Learning curve? You mean for the classes?
Yeah, just anything, literally anything.
Yeah. Really, I think one of the things that has been my great joy, and I mean it's a little bit obvious because it's the point of the novitiate, but to know more deeply the Dominican charism in general, we had not only by living with the friars, but also with the different classes we would attend on Dominican spirituality, Dominican history. Dominican history was really impressive to me, like the class we had. So it was, especially when we went through the history of the church, and a lot of prominent figures were Dominicans. So it was really interesting too.
And you didn't know that was something you was
exactly.
Were
a lot of an example like Bartolomé de las Casas. You hear about him in history books. I remember in my history about the colonization in America, and you have Bartolomé de las Casas, who's that's not cool, and
and advocating for the natives and what
exactly protecting the natives from enslavement, basically, and it was awesome. So I learned about him, and we had to do a little research project about any Dominican, just to present him to the class, and I chose him. So it was
nice.
So this work that he wrote it's called about the destruction of the Americas or the Andes. I don't remember. Anyway, so it was very impressive to me to see that too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good. What about what are some things that have been surprising to you?
Some of the things that have been surprising to me, I would say, something that was harder than I thought would be is, and a lot of people will say that, I think, but in general, obedience, but not only just obedience to obey your superior and what they say, but obedience in the general meaning of the term of just religious observance in general. So obedience means more than just obeying your superior, but also to live according to the constitutions of the order, to live according to a certain horarium that we have in the house. So not because when you're a lay person, of course, there's some things that are determined not by you, but for example, when my classes were, I couldn't change that, right? Or when I have to work, right? But outside of work or classes, you can kind of a little bit arrange around what you want to do, especially when you don't have kids, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which was my case, of course. So
not a lot of unstructured time in the Dominican novitiate.
Yeah, exactly. Because even when we have some free time, it's in a particular schedule.
Exactly.
So not that we don't have free time, but we never choose when it is.
Yes.
Right? So it was a little bit harder than what I expected it to be, and I totally get it. I mean, it's part of the sacrifice because obedience is really about sacrificing self-determination, really. And it's demanding, but it's beautiful at the same time because by doing that you get more time than you thought you had, because there's so much more time that you have to pray with the horarium that we have, and to study more than what I could do before I entered. So I mean, it comes with a lot of liberty too. So it's not just to be a cross, but it's just to have more liberty to do the highest things, I think. So that's the beauty that comes from it, but it was a little bit more surprising than what I thought it would be.
Interesting. So it's kind of like the idea that the RRM, there's a kind of strictness to, you don't get to choose what time you wake up or when you go to bed. It's kind of like more or less there's times, and even if you have free time, there's still other, you got to do the study projects or read certain things for class and things like that. So it's not you can't, there's not a ton of time to just kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah, and part of it comes from the fact that it's the novitiate year where we have like more, we're a little bit more told what to do, which makes sense because we don't know what to do to be a good religious.
There you
go. So I mean, it makes sense. Like, tell me what I need to do.
Exactly.
so I totally get it.
No, here's the template. Here's the template, so to speak. But then it's always interesting because Dominicans are not called to live in their day-to-day like novices either.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's the instilling of the principles, if you will.
Yeah.
But then there's an emergence that comes afterwards. What do you think has been instilled in you this year that you can carry forward?
Well, just like more discipline in general. So that's the nice thing that comes from that is that when you learn, so I think more discipline, because especially for studies in general, there's a lot of discipline that is needed in like consistency. That's very important for so I think that I'll definitely get.
What was your study project?
Yeah. So my study I was reading many works of history that are like adjacent to like the Bible times. So like Josephus, for example, that was the largest thing I read.
Okay.
So he's writing. Josephus is this Jewish historian who wrote in the 1st century. He wrote about like between 70 in like 90 AD. So right after Christ, and he's one of the famous historians who talks a little bit about Christ, so he mentions Jesus Christ. Anyway, so he recounts the whole Jewish history from Abraham basically to a little bit after the destruction of the temple, second temple. So after 77 AD. Yeah. 70 anyway. So that was my project. So more like history, and part of it is that I wanted to read like big books just to have a better like English English vocabulary.
Okay, familiarity.
Yeah, and plus I mean it's very important because it's all of the sources that we have on Herod or Pilate or it's like mostly Josephus is really like unpaired in historian for Jewish history. And a couple of other Greek historians, a little bit of Herodotus, just to know more about like the Babylonians and stuff. So anyway, so mostly history.
Herodotus is a hoot.
Yeah. He's a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't read Herodotus, it's not really history in the sense that you would think of history. It's more like, here's like the gossip around the water cooler that I've heard. It's like all these crazy stories.
It's kind of true. I mean, people say he's the father of history, but also anthropology because he'll describe like cultures, like the Babylonian cultures and stuff, like and their religion and stuff, or the Egyptians as well. So, but it's true. There's a lot of he loves to go off track.
Of course, he's just kind of you know what he is? He's just like the ultimate like. Curious, like he's like curious, and he writes it all. So his virtue is he's a curious guy who is very observant, and then just writes a bunch of stuff down.
Yeah, and interview. He
and
probably
then opines about it,
and he probably spoke to like hundreds or thousands of people just to know about this stuff. So,
exactly, yeah. So he's almost like a talk show host or something for the day, just like getting all this information and writing it down.
And he'll have interesting stories that are like half history or half just for the moral. Like there's this example of that man who he thought he was too fortunate. He was always lucky. So he said, okay, if I'm always lucky like that, I'm going to be unlucky at some point. So I need to bring unluck to myself.
Exactly.
So
it's got to be managed unluckiness, because when it comes down to it, I really just want to be fortunate in the big things in life.
Exactly. So he said, okay, I'm going to make myself unfortunate. So he went on a ship and then went a couple miles off the shore, dropped a very precious ring in the water, comes back to shore, and then so he's this king. And then a couple of days later, a fisherman comes to him and says, Lord, I have found this fish, and behold, in the fish there was this precious ring. So he brings back the ring. And moral of story is that you can't fight fortune.
Yeah, exactly.
And so anyway, so he'll have like stories like that. So it's like, okay, probably not history, but I mean, it's interesting.
Well, it's the guy. Do you remember the story about the guy in the dolphins? Like he falls over in the
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so the dolphins dolphins basically I'm trying to remember the contours of the story, but the kind of the moral of the story is like he himself is thought he's it has a kind of sense of the power of nature, but nature is held like even like he's like drowning, and the dolphins like come and pick him up and like take him to shore. So he's like saved by these dolphins, which it feels very kind of like story-esque, like legendary.
Yeah.
But in point of fact, dolphins are very friendly to humans. And
No. I mean,
so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, exactly. That
it's there. So we just don't know. But yeah, so history. You've delved into the world of history.
Yeah, exactly. Especially just to so another classic thing to do during the novitiate is to read the whole Bible. So I was also doing that. So I was figuring like, oh, maybe I should just read a couple of like historians around that era.
Bible.
Yeah, exactly. Just to like fill in the blanks or to anyway. So like. Another historians like the Babylonians, the Assyrians. The reason Herodotus is that a little bit about the Babylonians, he talks about also like the Persian kings that are mentioned in the Bible. Yeah, so like Cyrus and Darius mostly, and a little bit perhaps some scholar maybe Artaxerxes, but it's not anyway. So it's those kinds of. So that was why. Herodotus, but only the first books, and I didn't read the ones I'd already read in the past. But there was no need to read about the invasion of Greece by the Persians anyway, because it's beyond. It's not
Peloponnesian Wars. Those
Median War, Medic. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, Peloponnesian is with Sparta.
Sparta. Yeah, those guys.
So
Greek Wars. Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Yeah, no, that's good. Or Thucydides is another one.
Oh yes.
So the speeches are quite something.
Yeah, it's another one. Yeah, exactly. The speeches. It's like okay, it's probably not the real speech, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's good rhetoric.
So the rhetoric is like you read one, you're like, I'm all on board, and then the guy stands up like, I'm against this, and by the end you're like, why did that fool ever think that? So they're very rhetorically
it's very
powerful.
solid. Yeah.
How easily my mind was changed.
No, it's true. Yeah, Thucydides is great for that too.
Yeah, for sure.
So it depends on your favorite. I tend to prefer Herodotus because it's just like so funny.
Oh yeah,
story.
It is. And well, have you read City of God ever?
No.
So you get to so there's City of God, which is one of these big books.
Yeah.
And there's but they at a certain point in City of God, Augustine like goes into total Herodotus mode of just like strange things I've seen. So like he'll ask a question, for example, he'll say like, how can hell be real? It's asked, is hell real? Is there really hell? So that's a deep theological question. Does hell exist? Right. So he's taking on a deep theological question, and then he's kind of he does his meandering. Well, maybe there's those saying that a just God couldn't have a hell, but maybe justice does demand a certain sense of separation, and maybe so he has the theological kind of, and then he gets thinking, well, if there really is a hell, then like does it have fire in it? Is it like the analogies and the description of hellfire? And he's like, well, that doesn't. Everything's going to be kind of spiritual, and even a spiritual body won't, how would fire affect that? And then he starts going off into like things like, well, I've seen some crazy things about like salamanders that can like change colors and walk on hot rocks, and he gives all of these things, crazy things he's seen in his life, and then it's like the National Enquirer of like of odd behaviors, and just like, can a person do this? And he ends up people can well, not to be too rude, but they can make noises of flatulence, like the best trumpeter and things like that. I'm like, what? What are we reading? I look at the cover. I have to like look at the cover again and see like, what is? Am I in the reading, or did someone like insert like a joke section in here or something? Like, So Augustine has once he gets going, he can have flights of fancy like that. So if you like Herodotus, at times, like the City of God.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, even Josephus, like mostly what he does, like before, he mostly goes over the whole of the story of the Bible, but from like historical perspective. So whatever, like you'll find of historical statements in the prophets, for example. He'll bring that with like kings and judges. And but sometimes he'll had like just random stuff. Like he has this whole thing where Moses was kind of almost a king in Egypt, but he had to fight this other king, and he had to fight against like flying serpents in the desert.
Yeah. No,
it's just like the most random thing, and he has like a love story with a princess or whatever.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there are certainly motifs in the Bible. So the fact that Moses gets into trouble because he has in the things, and he's got the serpent in the desert and stuff. So they take these little things but then they make these stories out of them.
Exactly. It's like expanded. Exactly, like it's like the bronze serpent, but like expanded. Like with other like.
And it's like, what if Moses, before he fled Egypt, was like, he's raised by, the princess there. He's raised by Pharaoh's daughter. So no doubt there's there are probably some romantic interests in the Pharaoh's court that might have turned his eye.
Or like Abraham goes to Egypt before like the Promised Land, and he will say that Abraham is the one who brought mathematics to the Egyptians and astrology. Okay. So like astronomy, like, so it's interesting. So like a couple
he's coming from the Chaldeans, right? He's coming for Ur. So
exactly. And like it's funny because according to like according to like some, there's a way in which it's true, like coming from the Chaldeans. So it's interesting. I mean, it's
I know that is that's true. Yeah. So in other words, you get these, I don't say half truths, but things that aren't outrageously said, but then they're expanded on. I guess legends as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We call these things legends, right?
Exactly.
So that there's a kernel of we would call like historical truth, but that it's not even judged. I mean, in some ways, our very strict sense of did it like actually physically happen is less interesting than than the truth behind the principle of this is how cultures form.
Exactly.
Got a cross-pollination there. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, but back to I think we're doing exactly what we're talking about. I think we've become a self-fulfilling prophecy here. but as you prepare to take vows, which will be on September 5th. So it's a Saturday before Labor Day. Everyone, of course, welcome. Always at St. Dominic's, or mostly at St. Dominic's every year, but particularly this year it will be for sure. Are there things you're excited about heading into the student take? What excites you, or just about, maybe not just even student life, but just being a Dominican, aspects of the life that you really feel like fit with you and you can't wait to kind of more fully embrace and enter into?
Yeah, so we've had classes so far, but they weren't at the DSPT, or Dominican School of Theology and Philosophy. So they were just like given by some of our friars here. Yeah. But I enjoy like just going back to school, so to speak, and but for preparation for being priest. I mean, it sounds like the teachers are going to be great, and every time we've had an opportunity to spend time with the student brothers, it's been really great. So just to get to know them a little better, coming soon in this summer, there's 3 weeks that the student brother take as vacation, and they go at a place in Oregon, and we're going to meet them there. So it will be a little bit before making our vows, but it will be already an occasion to kind of gradually enter to the student tate.
Yeah, Mackenzie Bridge.
Yeah, Mackenzie Bridge, in Oregon. So like a nice place in nature to have a transition between the lowly novice to being a little bit less lowly, but still a student brother.
Are you an outdoors guy? I mean, coming from
totally.
Quebec. Oh, are you? Okay, okay.
Yeah, so hiking. I can't wait to see I've never seen the Cascade mountain range.
Oh.
So I can't wait to see that. Or
absolutely.
For some nice hikes.
There's tons of hikes up there, and there's lots of, and of course you got the river that comes right behind the property there. That's really gorgeous.
That's very cold. I've heard too. The river.
It is cold. My go-to move was if you have it's probably safe to prudent to wear a life jacket, but I would there are many groups that will go in like a boat or a pontoon or a kayak or something like that, or a big inflatable, and you can shoot the river and stuff. I just walk up the river and literally jump into the river.
Nice.
And then just let your river carry you down. You probably got, at least when I was doing it, 2 or 3 run, and then your body
It's just too cold.
Yeah, hypothermia. Like you have to. Last time I did it, I might have gone over the. I might have gone one too many times. When things start turning blue, you're like, I'm probably done here.
Yeah, that's probably better to go out of the water.
Probably get it out of the water. So it is very cold, but it's bracing. It's nice.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I can't wait to go there for for the student brothers and just to be a little bit in the outdoors. I mean, San Francisco is a great city to live in, but it's nice to sometimes to go like just in the outdoors and have.
Absolutely. So you'll have that time, and then you'll start the student Tate, and so looking forward to just the whole range of classes that you'll have. Have you taken philosophy before?
Yes. So my bachelor's degree was in philosophy.
Yep.
But not a whole lot of
theology.
So probably I'll be able to some of my classes are probably done, but most aren't, because most weren't like Thomistic philosophy. So anyway, so I'll have to sort of and I look forward to having you as a teacher, but it's in many years though, right?
The classes that I've been asked to teach are more of the practical, like preaching classes. And confession,
which comes later in the formation.
It does, So it'll be we'll have a break, and then we'll come back around. So I did. Brother Jordan did preaching classes with us last year, and the confession class too. So it's got a good. I've got the first wave of Canadians there.
Nice.
So we'll go through. So it'll be a few years before you get there. But God willing, persevering in every way. If you had to talk about just kind of maybe kind of tying threads together, that sense of discernment, like where's God's brought you to, what would you say to someone who's discerning life or thinking about God's call, maybe both just generally, but specifically, what kinds of things would you, from your own experience, would you kind of give advice towards?
In general, a good advice is to follow where in life usually your deepest joys come from. Of course, not only like what is like superficial, but what is like deeper. So in my case, I mentioned how some of the elements of like having this study group with friends was really like, so some of these were my joys of like studying and talking, bringing the gospel to unbelievers. So that's how I gradually sensed that Dominican lifestyle would be appealing to me, with these like deeper joys. So in general, follow where your joys are. Another like general idea about vocation is festina lente. So make haste but slowly. So because there's really you don't want to go too fast but you don't want to be too slow, because otherwise if you're perpetually discerning, it's not discernment either. So so there's kind of a nice mean. In my vocation, I think the nice thing is whenever you feel like you're not sure where you are, like take another step, just to.
That's right.
So I wasn't sure, like, should I enter? Well, then I visited for the come and see here and stuff. So just like bring new information. Not that you need to visit every place, because that would be excessive too. But just like another step, it's always good to take another one.
Yeah, I like that, because it's there's only a certain amount of discernment you can do without actually kind of experiencing it, right?
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes we can get in our head about
totally,
analysis paralysis. So that it's kind of like you got to take this. You got to be intentional. So you have to make haste in that way. You have to actually concretely explore the space.
Yeah.
But but take it at a pace. Like you don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Rome wasn't built in a day. You know this expression?
Yes.
Okay. I'll often do that to you, where I'll say, this expression, just to check in. Oftentimes, I'm surprised you actually know a lot of English expressions. There's been a few that you haven't.
No, it's true. It's true. Well, you have like particular expressions too. You have a broad range of.
You are not wrong. I have expressions that people who even speak English don't know. The ones that like create on my own.
But it's good. You make sure that I'm following.
I do. I always check in with you know this expression, and if you don't, even if I just made it up. And I think one of the first ones I did was not an expression. I just wanted to see if you're going to be polite and say yes.
What did I say?
No, you said no. I don't know this one. So you know,
So I passed the test.
You passed the test. You were not just overly polite just to blend in, because I really wanted to see if you were just like say.
I didn't know you did.
Of course.
So that's why I was like, what? Random expressions like that. Never heard of it.
I never heard. Because if you would have said, yeah, I said, oh, it's just because that's not an expression. I just wanted to see if you would just go along with it just to get in, because you know, you're just gonna get a sense of standing up for yourself, which obviously you've done more than well. Like I said, they elected you dean, so they know that you have a wonderful way about you. So thanks for joining us, and we'll keep you in prayers, and we look forward to those vows here on September 5th. Once again, everyone's invited to those, and may the Lord continue to bless you and persevere in your formation. Amen?
Amen. Thanks for having me.